and welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry.
And we are here once again to talk free agency, the official start of free agency today, Wednesday.
Yeah.
March 15th, I think.
Lamar Jackson's mom can talk to people again.
Oh, yeah. Poor Lamar Jackson.
Dude, honestly, like, I get where he's coming from with not wanting a, agent get 3-4%, but this is the type of circumstance that an agent needs to be involved.
Yeah, we've seen players before, Richard Sherman, a few others kind of go without agents and have some success, but it always seems like they leave some money on the table.
Correct.
Like even Richard Sherman, it seemed like that deal he signed with San Francisco, I think it was, just seemed really weird. So I would agree. I think Lamar needs an agent. I mean, there's talk now that he might not even play the season. So I don't know. That's a weird situation, but we're not here to talk about Lamar Jackson. We're here to talk about the Carolina Panthers. And the Carolina Panthers have made a bunch of moves.
They've made some very sweet moves, like little dip and dunks that are not. They're not flashy. They're not headlining.
There's a couple
ESPN
of moves
news.
They made. Couple of moves they made today, Jerry, that I would say one in particular is pretty flashy.
Okay, is it the first one I'm about to talk about? The Panthers cutting Pat Elflein.
That's what I was thinking of.
That is headlining my free agency recap.
Yes, you can finally get rid of that jersey that you bought of Pat Elflein.
Oh, God. One of the worst signings in Panthers history right there. I mean, look, he played decent last year, but he should have never been signed for that big contract. He was the worst pass blocking guard when we signed him, like in the league. He gave up 10% of his snaps as sacks. Like, you bring him in. What? As your starter.
Remember, though, he was a day one signing.
Day one. As soon as
day one signing.
What? As soon as the, legal tampering.
Yeah.
That news came out.
Like,
it was like
immediately.
I knocked. If you want to, you could go back and I knocked that signing as it happened. I was like, "What are you doing?"
I was doing my best to try to be
positive,
as optimistic as I could. I could not get you to come around at all. I remember.
I'm just saying I was vindicated.
And you were right. You were right. on both him and Cam Irving. But how different does this free agency feel than that free agency? I mean, this is
night and day.
Last
year too. Last year was really good.
Yeah, but this year, man, like trading up to number one, if you want to count that as part of free agency, which I think we should. They signed a few guys we talked about on our last episode. Today, we've got even more to talk about. Why don't you go ahead and kick us off with probably the first major one that happened, I think, yesterday.
Yeah, it happened yesterday. We're not here every day, especially for one signing. But we brought in the bridge/mentor quarterback, Andy Dalton, 2-year, $11 million, $8 million guaranteed. That's a perfect signing. That's a guy that's going to be able to start a couple games if need be, especially at the beginning. But he can also help out the rookie that we're going to draft number 1 overall.
I've seen a lot of hate from Panthers fans for this signing. I think it's unjustified. I think for what he is, for what we need from him, which is first and foremost a backup quarterback that's high quality. So maybe Andy Dalton's not a high quality starting quarterback, but I think he's a very high quality backup quarterback.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Good locker room guy, really good locker room guy. Apparently everyone that's played with him has really liked him, and a mentor for the rookie, whoever that may be.
Yeah.
I think Andy Dalton fits all three of those.
I agree.
Pretty well.
He's getting $8 million. He knows what he is. I mean, I don't want to say he doesn't think he can play out there. I'm sure he does, but he also realizes where he's at in his career, where he's like, I'm willing to take this, and I'm assuming he's going to help the rookie come along. There's a lot of things with rookies and, that's not on just the tape that we see as, you know, analysts and, fans.
Hmm.
There's a lot of ins and outs of, hey, don't go messing with that type of situation. That's where you get wrong. This is where you go right. He has Josh McCown and then now Andy Dalton to help him with that.
And Frank Wright,
And
also another
Frank
former
Reich.
quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
Jim
forget about Frank
Caldwell.
Wright. Right. I mean, in terms of a situation for a rookie quarterback to come into, I can't think of many better in the league. There are some that are as good, maybe slightly better, but this is a really good landing spot. And Andy Dalton knows the score. Like, he wouldn't have signed here. He knows that we
Oh, yeah.
traded up for number one. He knows what his role is going to be. He was fine with that. I think someone like a Jacoby Brissett, who a lot of fans wanted, I think wanted to start, wanted at least an opportunity to start. He signed with the Commanders today.
And that's where that type of player
Mhm.
goes. He's like,
Yeah,
I think I could beat out Sam Howell. I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna win. And
yeah,
hats off to you. You have a shot.
yeah. And you had Sam Darnold go to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably going to get a shot as well, given their injury concerns and everything going on there. Probably not a bad spot for him to go. So, yeah, I mean, would I've liked like a Gardner Minshew that we've talked about for the last several years? Sure. But Gardner Minshew was someone I thought we could roll with for a couple of years. Andy Dalton's a guy that's going to be a spot starter at best, and he's going to come and help the rookie, and that's perfect.
Yeah, and he also fits the rookie I think we're gonna draft to more of a pocket passer and can dip a dunk if need be.
Stay tuned, by the way, because our CJ Stroud draft profile is coming up very, very soon.
That is who I think
I
will
have,
draft, but
yeah, I have, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. All right, our next guy here, we addressed finally, and I'm glad that you're letting me talk about this, Jerry. We finally have addressed the tight end position. Hayden Hurst, former Cincinnati Bengal. I believe he was also with the Falcons. 3 years, $21.75 million, $13 million guaranteed. Very solid signing at tight end. Not, Dalton Schultz,
no.
not Gesicki in terms of his receiving skills, but compared to Ian Thomas, massive upgrade. Massive upgrade. And he's a pretty good blocker as well. So I think he fits that physical tight end that we were talking about with Frank, what Frank Reich wanted. I think he's going to maybe have his best season of his career this season.
Yeah, I think this is a great signing. When I looked at the free tight ends, I did see Hayden Hurst, and I thought to myself, this is the type of tier of tight end that this organization should sign.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Dalton Schultz would have been a awesome signing.
That'd been a home run. Yeah, that'd been.
But you have limited
Awesome.
funds. You have, limited accessibility and everything like that. You have a 28, 29-year-old Hayden Hurst who has the talent, who has done good things in this league. You sign him. I get that. You're going to get that rookie quarterback, a safety valve who has proven that he could be solid. Meanwhile, Ian Thomas and Tommy Trimble have been dropping passes last year left and right. I mean, I remember you constantly wanting a new tight end, and I was like, hey, these guys haven't had a chance. They got their chance last year, and they failed to impress with it.
Yes, very, very opposite of the Pat Elflein, Cam Irving situation where you were out on them and I was trying to be optimistic. You were trying to be optimistic about the tight ends. I was out on them pretty much immediately. So looking at Hayden Hurst's stats real quick, drafted in 2018 by Baltimore. He's never had more. Let's see, his best season was 2020, 56 catches, 571 yards, only 9 starts that season. Had 6 touchdowns as well. Last year with the Bengals, 52 catches, 414 yards, couple of touchdowns, and 13 starts. So most starts of his career was last year. He will start for us, barring, drafting a rookie tight end that just goes crazy in preseason. But Like I said, I think as long as he can stay healthy, and that's been, he's been
Yeah.
a pretty healthy guy his whole career. So as long as he can stay healthy, I think we've got a pretty good guy here. And I think, just to your point, I believe, was either the second or third tight end in the league in catch percentage
Yeah.
over the last few years.
I don't know the exact number, but yeah, he caught the ball well. And
Yeah.
that's the thing is, again, he's not going to set this team on fire. He's not going to become George Kittle. He's not going to become Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
What he's going to
We're not
do,
looking at 1,000 receiving yards with him.
yeah, he's
No.
going to provide a safety valve to this quarterback. Now, there's going to also have to be another safety valve, which we'll get into one here in a little bit.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a good signing, guys. I mean, I don't know what you're going to expect with our free agency, with our money and stuff like that. We're not trading for Travis Kelce. We're not trading for George Kittle. We just don't have the ammo for that. This is a good signing. Good, solid player. Still young enough to make something to happen with a rookie quarterback.
Right. And Gesicki wasn't going to be the guy,
He can't
blocking
block.
wise. He just didn't fit what the coaching staff said they
Yeah,
wanted.
they want to block.
There's a place for Gesicki in the league for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he could have worked here, but that's not what they wanted. And then Schultz, just too expensive. I mean, he's going to be $15 million a year probably. So, or at least that's what he wants reportedly. So this is half that cost
Yeah.
for a guy who has been fine, a first round pick, a few years back, and he's got skills. I think, like I said, I think this is going to be his best season with us.
Yeah.
He's going to have all the opportunity in the world.
And I assume this is a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option, basically, kind of. So
Probably. I haven't looked at the
it's-
structure.
it just says 3 years, 21 million, 13 guaranteed. So
Yeah.
I assume his 3rd year he would be little to no dead cap. So I think that's a great
Likely.
contract.
Yeah.
You're going to pair him with the rookie. If you can find a great tight end in the draft, great. If not, you can run with him for a couple of years and see where it goes.
100%. Yeah, love the signing. And if we don't draft a tight end, I'm not going to be devastated by
No.
it. Whereas I would have been had we not signed Hayden Hurst, Gesicki, or Schultz, pretty much those three.
And now you could see what Tommy Trimble and Ian Thomas can also have if they don't sign a rookie tight end or if they don't draft a tight end.
I've seen what they.
You
I've
could
seen what
see
they
if maybe a better coaching staff could get something more out of them. But either way, you have someone who can be decent as your starter.
If it takes 3 coaching staffs to get Ian Thomas to do something, that's an Ian Thomas.
I was more
problem, not a
talking about
coaching
Tommy
staff
Trimble, but yes, I get what you're saying.
Tommy Trimble, I'm still willing to give the benefit of the doubt on Tommy Trimble because he's still young. But do you think they cut Ian Thomas?
No, because that contract, they have to keep him another year.
Okay.
They signed in the offseason. It's like $500,000 difference, something like that, to cut him.
Let's just take the hit. Let's just take that. Get him off the team. All right, who we got? What's our next piece of news here?
Unfortunately, wide receiver Adam Thielen left Charlotte without a contract. This was one that I was kind of hoping to pair with TMJ, LaVisca.
Mm-hmm.
This team needs another wide receiver. On the radio, they were talking about that they need 2, and I kind of agree with this. They need a burner because Shi Smith really did not produce last year the way I was hoping he would with his extra time. But Adam Thielen, I thought, would have been a great starter alongside TMJ. Then you have LaVisca, and then if you could bring in another burner somewhere, whether the draft or another free agent, you would have a nice little setup. You're not going to get the number 1 receiver that DJ Moore is. You're looking to get a decent receiving core to help out a wide receiver or a quarterback 1 right now, rookie. Like the Philly Brown, Jericho Cotchery type of receiving core that Cam took to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, that receiving core would be better than what we currently have. right?
Yeah.
Thielen would have been a solid signing, and still maybe. The
Yeah.
report is that they're talking. Um, you know, I'm not surprised. I mean, I was hopeful that they would sign him, not let him leave town without a contract. But it's not surprising that he wants to see what else is out there. I think this was his first visit, um, we'll put a pin in that and hope that maybe that comes back around. But I agree. I think he'd be a really solid guy to bring in here. And you said that we're not going to replace DJ Moore. There's a couple of options out there via trade if they wanted to go that route to bring in a young. We talked about it on our last show to bring in a young receiver,
Yeah.
or an older receiver that is with the Cardinals. That is probably not realistic, but
Yeah. I
would definitely replace DJ Moore's production.
From what I'm hearing is Judy and Sutton they want first round picks for, and that's just out of our price range. With
They want
our,
a first round pick for Sutton too. I saw Judy, but for Sutton,
I believe so. I may be
ugh,
wrong, but yeah,
I
I'm
wouldn't
just
do that.
like
Yeah.
not
I
too
mean, I
much.
like Sutton. I do like Sutton, and I would trade for Sutton if it was like a fourth round pick, maybe. But I certainly wouldn't go. I don't think I'd go higher than that. But yeah,
Yeah.
but there are still options out there. Is basically what I'm saying. And if it doesn't happen, then you can. If we don't sign like a quality wide receiver, like if Paris Campbell is our only signing, which is the rumor now, is that they want him. You can bet money that number 2 pick, that second round pick, is
Oh
going to be a
yeah.
wide receiver.
Oh yeah.
Like there's no doubt. They will
There.
take the best wide receiver available
I'm
at
gonna.
that point.
I do not think Fitterer is gonna just pick up one receiver this free agency.
I,
I think his goal is to patchwork the rest of this team with with decent starters. I don't want to say mediocre, but decent
mhm.
starters that could play like a Hayden Hurst.
Right.
Like the Von Vells. Like guys who are good players, they're not all pros. Then that way
Yeah.
he could draft a best player available after the quarterback.
Agreed. It's a good strategy. The team is better right now than it was a few days ago, no doubt. Um, But yeah, I mean, we've started to see some wide receiver action now in free agency. Like Juju signed with the Patriots. We saw Jacoby Myers get
Mm-hmm.
signed. So things are starting to happen now with wide receivers, and sort of like today, like the running backs all went today, right?
Not all the running
And
backs.
no, but a lot of running backs started signing today. So you saw some wide receivers start to go too. I think tomorrow could be an interesting day for us in terms of wide receivers. Just putting it out there. All right. So we'll go to we'll save the big one for last. We'll go to Deshaun Williams, defensive tackle, was signed 15-game starter for Denver last year. Um, they got Shy Tuttle, who
Mm-hmm.
they have indicated is going to be their starting nose tackle. In the 3-4, you've got Derek Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Um, is this the other starter?
I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the way that Israel already knows him, I think you would go ahead and pencil him in as a starter. Which, in my question, goes where does Etor Grossmantos is?
On the bench where he belongs.
I mean, no, well, yes, you're right on that to a certain extent. I was saying at this point, is he expendable? Do you want to see if maybe you could get a fourth round pick for him or something like that?
Oh, I think if they could get a fourth round pick for him, that would be amazing.
I mean, he was a second round pick that was projected as a first round pick who just fell to in the second round.
Yeah.
He had some
Do you think they
ability.
could get a fourth round pick for him
I don't
based on
know.
what the league has seen? You'd have to find a coaching staff that was excited about him. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know that exists, but yeah, I mean, I think you got Williams, Tuttle, and Brown as your three. Then you've got Burns, Luvu, Chin, Thompson, I guess. as
That
your other. Yeah, I
and
mean,
then you can fit Brandon Smith in there as a spell guy. You got is Marquise Haynes back? I believe he has another
I
year, right?
think so. You've got Amari Barno, you've
You
got
got
Etor. So I mean,
so
there's
you
some decent depth there.
yeah, you might need another middle linebacker, but you should have a decent amount. I'm shaking my hand.
Hmm.
Decent amount of edge rushers for our that team.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I mean,
and
I think they still need to address edge for sure. Um, whether it's just depth or if they're not comfortable with what Luvu or I don't know, but
and Luvu
it's
was great
it's
at
decent.
rushing the passer. That's a
He
big
had 7
thing.
sacks last year. Yeah,
I was gonna say maybe this 3-4 can make him burst out onto the scene. That's my hope because I
yeah.
don't think you're gonna get a premier pass rusher at 39. So
Hmm.
we'll see where we sit at. And I think Jeremy Chin will also play a lot better down in the box after the signing of
Yeah,
Von Bell.
100%. All right, Jerry, bring us home. Who we got here?
And the big name being signed, running back Myles Sanders, 4 years deal. No money has been announced. That was shocking to me, but I like the signing. I think Myles Sanders is a great running back. I think he's a guy
Hmm.
that you can pass to, you can run to. He's a good running back. Familiar with Frank Reich from his days in Philly. Just, I think this is a great signing. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he had his breakout season last year with Philadelphia, 1,269 rushing yards, 11 touchdowns, only 20 receptions last year for 78 yards. So, but that's kind of an anomaly because his first season he had 50 receptions for 509 yards, then 28 receptions for 197, 26 for 158. So, that's a couple of receptions a game basically. Um, which just keeps the defense honest.
Mm-hmm.
But his yards per reception prior to last year was 10.2 in his rookie year, 7 and then 6. So you know last year was
Features instant to
3.9. I
his
I
stomach.
think that's
That's
just
what
an
he should feel
outlier.
like, primarily
Um,
due to what
this is a good
Arizona
signing,
gave up in order to
and
get
they,
him.
like you, I was very surprised to
Yeah.
see Myles Sanders get signed by the Panthers. He was a guy that I had thought about, but just didn't really have any expectations that we would get him.
Yeah. Me too. I'm trying to verify. Was he with Frank Reich that first season?
2019, so I think Frank Reich had left. Didn't Frank Reich leave in 2018? I believe. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. Can't hear you. Can't.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the Frank Reich. I am sure that I had some technical difficulties there if you're watching the video. But
No worries, no worries. Yeah. Either way, it's a good signing. I saw Joe Person tweeted out that this means Deontay Foreman probably not coming back. I think that's probable, but I don't think it's guaranteed. I could see them if Deontay Foreman doesn't get the kind of money it seems like he wants, and nobody's giving him right now. I could see them bringing him back on a
a
couple million
cheap
dollars a
deal.
year or something like that.
Yeah, I'm supposedly they offered him a deal right away and he didn't take it. So I'm wondering
Yeah,
what that type of money was where he was just
we'll never know.
yeah. I mean Bradley Bozeman they offered him money, but the first day of tampering, he was just like, "Okay, I'm not getting the offers I want. I'll accept it."
Yeah. And there could have been some other negotiation there as well that we're not privy to. But obviously, Deontay Foreman not getting any bites yet, and honestly, I'm surprised because of how good he looked the
He
last
looked
half of the
really
season.
good.
He would have been one of the top backs in the league if you know get that all across the whole season. Yeah, like 1,500 rushing yards. I mean, it'd been great. So, um, yeah, not over free Deontay here yet. So we'll see what happens there. But Myles Sanders probably definitely going to be your starting running
Oh
back
yeah,
come
there's not
week
a
one.
question.
Yeah.
I would love to have Deontay Foreman come back and it's a 1-2 with him, with Chuba being like the third, but
Hmm.
I don't know if
I
that's in
like
the
it.
tea leaves. Tea
Yeah.
leaves. I mean, Miles Sanders, I think, is better than Chuba, so that's what we're going with. I mean,
Miles Sanders way better than Chuba. I don't think Chuba's good at all. I think Chuba, like I said, and I've seen some other people talking about this, like Chuba can just probably be maybe practice squad guy. You have Sanders. If they do end up re-signing Deontay Foreman somehow, and then Blackshear, I'd prefer over Chuba as our third
and Blackshear offers a nice little bonus in the special
special
teams. I
teams.
mean,
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's up to date so far. Obviously, the glaring omission here would be, oh man, I called it. I called that Miles Sanders contract perfectly. It's 4 years, 25 million. That is exactly what I guessed. Unfortunately, I didn't guess it on air, but I did guess it right here in my head.
sure.
So yeah, wide receiver. That's what I think everyone's looking for as the next move. So hopefully by our next update, we'll have some wide receivers to talk about.
Yeah, I think we will. I think tomorrow, which will be Thursday, you'll be hearing some wide receiver news. I think we're recording this on Wednesday night. It's sitting there. It's a glaring hole. You need at least one veteran in that room with Terrace Marshall Jr., Laviska Shenault, and Shai Smith.
Mhm.
And then if you need to go draft wise, and that's what will happen, but you need to get one veteran guy in there.
For sure. For sure. And I don't want it to be Paris Campbell as the only guy that they sign. I want more than that. Paris Campbell's fine in like the way that I thought Rashard Higgins was going to be used last year. Rashad Higgins uh, wasn't used at all last year. Again, I blame Matt Rule for that. I think Rashard Higgins is better than that. But um, hey, maybe we sign Rashard Higgins.
I don't think
Bring
so.
him back. No?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it, Jerry.
Yep, we want to thank everyone for listening. If you like the show, please let your friends know. Please follow us on Twitter at MeowMix Podcast. Oh, that's the wrong one. If you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mailbag@meowmixpodcast.com. And if you leave us a 5-star review with a comment on Apple Podcasts, we'll read it on the show.
Uh, we'll be back very, very soon with our CJ Stroud player profile. Maybe it's out right now when you're listening to this. Maybe it's out tomorrow. I don't know when you're listening to this, so I can't tell
Yeah.
you when it's out, but it will be out very shortly after this podcast is out. So until then, everybody stay safe out there and keep pounding.